The madness of crowds, back to the strange death of Europe. I have a question that I want to ask, but I'm afraid to ask it because I'm sure that it's so hugely politically incorrect.
Fire away.
All right, I will. But this is just between the two of us.
Sure.
The madness that you just described, what do Muslims make of this when they watch all this, their populations growing in Africa or the Middle East? Is it, I mean, what comes across to us every so often, videos and so forth, there will be some imam denouncing the West as decadent. But if decadence, if cultural decadence means anything,
Right.
it means something pretty close to what you're describing.
Yeah. Experimenting on children and
Yes.
yeah, and like making everything sexual and yeah, of course. I mean, well, I always think that the
But
worst.
what I'm worried about is that conservatives find themselves edging toward the position of saying, well, you know, those Muslims have a point.
Oh yeah, of course, you can hear that already in Europe. I mean, you can hear
You can do?
Oh yeah, you can hear a little bit of
fair.
it in America as well. Yes, it's not an attractive route to go down.
It is
I
not.
warn
It
people
is
against
not.
it, but my gosh, you can see people doing it. There was a school in Birmingham in England earlier this year where lots of the parents protested outside the school because they didn't want their children to be taught about being gay in classes to teach children about sex education, basically. And I know quite a lot of people, including social conservatives, who said, I don't know, which side should we be on? And look, it's if a culture pretends, this is a consistent thing in The Strange Death of Europe and The Madness of Crowds. If a culture pretends that it is this cheap, ridiculous, highly sexualized, race-obsessed, totally evidently self-contradictory thing, then it's hardly surprising if it doesn't survive, and it doesn't particularly deserve to. My own view has always been that it's just absurd to think that this is the sum of what we've had. And that's the obscenity of this, really. And that's why I say at the end of The Madness of Crowds, I want young people in particular to get fast ways out of this, shortcuts out of this madness, how to just get that out of your brain and get onto the life you need to live. And one of the things I keep coming back to is that we should have been asking this question much more all along these years of saying, compared to what? So, if there is a Muslim protest outside the kids' primary school because they don't want them to learn about gay, find out what it is they do want. What it is that they do want. And if it is that they want Saudi moras on these sorts of things and punishments of, then that's as well to have that out, because then we can make a clear decision. But this is the case on all of them. When people tell us what a patriarchal and bigoted society we live in, and how terrible, how there's a war on women and a war on gays and a war on trans and a war on blacks and a war on everybody and against everybody else, compared to when? Compared to what? Where's your place? Where's your nirvana? Because if you can't point to something that's at least semi-nirvana-like, then I see no reason why we should try this wholly new experiment. In reality, what the people do, if you say compared to what, they tend to, in your country as in mine, sort of reveal the foundations and say, you know, Cuban healthcare is particularly good, and so on. You know, actually, literacy standards in communist Russia are very, very impressive. You know, so they give away what they really want. But that's the point: is if we keep saying compared to what, we know what we're running against, and we know what they're trying to do. And at the moment, we're just in this fog of not realizing the seriousness and the specific nature of the attempts that are being made to totally undermine, rewrite, and destroy everything that I think people of any political direction in our countries would have thought of until recently as at least a pretty good deal.
I'm happy to say, but sorry to say, that you've given me just another very powerful image. Okay. Douglas, back to The Strange Death of Europe. Again, it's been 2 years since you published the book. A couple of